Right, let's see if this thing's working or not. All right. Okay, guys, this is just a test broadcast from the TARBIS on the laptop. Okay, let's see if the camera works. Voila. And we have the camera is operational. Since I already have the studio lights out here in the TARBIS, I decided to set them up. So it looks like we got pretty good lighting, actually better than we have in the office. Let me see how, I'm going to have to listen to my phone. You might hear it repeat back through. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Camera is operational. Since I already have the studio lights out here. Actually, that volume doesn't seem too bad. I mean, the audio doesn't seem too bad. I'm trying to watch it here on the phone. There's a big delay, but a Max watching a Max watching a Max watching a Max. This is, I have to read the live chat off my phone. So let's see. Get a couple of these things out of the way. That go away. Don't really need that since I got the big one over my head. Louie and me. That one go away. And we'll put Louie up here. See if I can do this without making a mess out of it. All right. So I am in the TARBIS, and I suppose if I put the computer on I have it between two boxes so that it can cool underneath, because I was warned that these laptops sometimes get a little warm if you're on for very long. And so if you guys tell me what you think of the picture, from what I see, it actually looks better than when I do it in my office. When I do it in my office, I just have this little light on my face, and I have the overhead light, which kind of tends to make my hair glow. Since I have my, you know what? Let me just take a picture and show you. Camera. Let's see how this works. I can't really seem to get them. Okay, that's not going to work. But anyway, I have the door right behind me, which is the only thing the magnetic sticker will stick to. So I took the outside to the inside. Give myself a bit more of a backdrop, as was suggested by a glue trooper. And so close that out. Now, of course, this is all just a test. And there we go. I got it. Now I can see the live chat. Hey, Sarah Joan, Darkwood, Carl, and their delay between my phone and TV. Yeah, since this all goes through internet and it goes through various boxes and stuff, there's all kinds of different delays. I often actually get the image back on my phone before Steve can get it on his computer. He's not with us right now because this is just a test. I won't be here all that long because we got a roofing guy coming in. I got to see in a little while. But folks had asked if I would consider doing a live stream from the TARBIS, and there's no way I was going to be able to cart my desktop and all the equipment in here. But then I started realizing, well, we might try to do some stuff on location, like Hurricane Hobbies, and we might do it from Hurricane Hobbies next week. Ian and I are considering that. Might have a special day, keep the store open late, and, come in and buy a model and be on the live stream for 5 minutes or something like that, or not. This, of course, depends on a couple of things, but maybe we'll do it from the hobby shop after normal business hours. We could do it during normal business hours, but I'm not sure how that would work out. It might be easier to do it after he's shut down the normal business. But anywho, a couple of glue troopers are warning. This is a brand new laptop. We just got it yesterday. It's real nice. And a glue trooper had told me that you really don't need to worry about hooking up microphones and stuff to it, because since most laptops are made for doing meetings and virtual everything, that little mic they put in them, as long as you stay in front of the computer and everything, it should work. And the camera's newer than the other stuff I have. So I did buy that new camera for my desktop, but I'm doing this strictly on the laptop. There's no, I did test the Yeti microphone in this. I don't know if you guys saw the little mic test I did earlier, but I was afraid I was going to hang all kinds of sound baffling stuff down here, but this thing kind of points right at me, so we seem to be getting away with it. Man, this is actually better resolution than I get on my, of course, I don't have these big lights in there. One thing I learned from a lifetime of playing with movie cameras and photography and stuff is, and what I don't know about photography is fill a much bigger book than I do. But one thing I have learned is light is king, and that's just the way it is. It's, you know, one of the reasons during the Second World War that the Japanese Navy was so effective at night fighting before the Americans got radar was they had these huge, almost comical-looking binoculars that had massive lenses that collected light, kind of like a proto-starlight scope. And hey, crowd, how you doing? So yeah, you know, and these are not hot lights. These are CFLs. I bought them a while ago to do green screen with. Actually, I used them to illuminate the screen. I do have an old incandescent studio light back here with a 300-watt bulb. That thing gets so hot so fast. But this soft light, this is actually what it's made for, is this kind of thing, and it's much higher quality. But there's just no room. There's no place to put them in the office because it's right up against the wall. These things are several feet back. So who knows? Maybe doing live streams from the TARBIS will become the standard, and we'll see. I can't really broadcast on both computers at the same time, but I did put the Yeti mic in here and did a voice test. And really wasn't significant. Did not worth lugging all the equipment around. It's just like, yeah, we'll go with what we got. Hey, Chris, you happy with the backdrop? See, there we go. I read my emails. I figure we cover a couple of things as long as we're here. This, make it worth everybody taking a few minutes to tune in. We talk about a couple of things. Now, tomorrow night's live stream will be the big kahuna. I'm getting a bunch of stuff together for, we're going to be talking about, boy, you think I got enough Max's Models logos here? We're going to be talking about armor models and armor both. This is largely inspired by the new M10 Booker light tank. And yes, we are going to go down the rabbit hole because they keep kind of, it's mobile armored fire support. And the guys call it what it is. It's a light tank. And we're going to get down the whole light tank, medium tank, heavy tank, main battle tank rabbit hole. And and it's funny because one of the things I plan to cover tomorrow night is that Monogram Models was never really an armor company. You count all the armored vehicles they probably did on your fingers and toes. A few tanks, a couple of versions of the half track, and that was in a few German vehicles. That was the bulk of it. And yet, ironically, their patent tank is the one thing, and their German Mark IV, which I have right here. Let me just get it. Still working on the bugs. The little Mark IV. I really love this kit, and it's fairly easy to build. I finally got the Shures and armor on this one without too much argument. And but this and the patent tank are still in production, and I'm not surprised because let's face it, everybody has a fascination with German armor if they are all in the military. Don't ask me why. The Germans just made cool stuff. Not always the best, but definitely the coolest. And, we'll probably go down the rabbit hole of should the Germans have made 4 of these for every Tiger that they built because that's their doctrine and everything else. Or we'll probably get into that a little bit. So, light tank, medium tank, all that after World War II, all that kind of disappeared in favor of the main battle tank. Everybody had to have a main battle tank. So we'll go down that rabbit hole. And for some reason, there's this almost a phobia about calling a modern armored vehicle a light tank. No, and look, it's fully tracked, 360-degree rotating turret, way better armed than a light tank was before it, with that 105. And it is an infantry support vehicle, but that's what light tanks were. Light tanks were reconnaissance and infantry support. That was their primary job. Everyone knew a Stuart wasn't going to duke it out with a Mark IV Panzer. Wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to go find the Germans, come back, and hopefully keep the crew alive long enough to come back and report. And if the roads were good enough and you had speed, you could use an armored car. But armored car was just a truck with a little pick iron around it. It wasn't going to stand up to anything. These are recon vehicles. If they got seen, they'd already made a mistake. So we're going to get into that in great depth. I'm already starting to go down the rabbit hole now. But Monogram still, their patent tanking, still find it at Michael's and Hobby Lobby. And I built that kit a couple of times as a kid. It's a good basic kit. And the way you can tell a patent from an M60 at a glance is the patents have that round in front of the drivers in the center, and they have that rounded armor, and the M60 has the straight sloped armor. It's like a razor blade edge. It's not curved. And the idea was they figured it'd be better for bouncing shells. But again, we're going to run down on these rabbit holes tomorrow. The other thing we're going to get into, been digging around in, was what I learned from that documentary with Winkle Brown. When you think of World War II fighter planes, and I grabbed a couple of P-40s here because we're going to talk about these in just a minute. Oop, I bet you can tell if I put this box in front of my mouth versus when it's reading. So I have to learn to hold stuff like this because it is a directional microphone. We're still experimenting here, but when you look at the straight wing fighters, you don't think in terms of Mach. You think Mach, you think jets. And I have to do a little more history on Henry Mach, but we're going to get into, and it's like a 2-minute background on the history of the word Mach, where it comes from the guy who discovered it. But didn't Monogram have based on that? Yes, they did on the Panzerkampf, the Ostwind, the Wirbelwind, the Stug, and of course the Mark IV. And I think there were one or two others. But that's because think about it. You're Monogram models, and you're not really armor. You're really more known for your cars than anything else. But hey, there's a lot of military. Your planes are good. They're selling well. Well, come on, our Jeep is doing well. Our truck is doing well. We want to get some tanks out there because we're still a kit model company. We want to stay. Monogram never wanted the biggest catalog. They wanted the best. And so they do their research, and I imagine half the guys that work there, and this are probably history buffs, and some of them, Besser had served maybe Besser and Reeder both had served in World War II. So, and hey, look, the Germans, like us, we put a lot of stuff on the M3 chassis, the Lee, the Grant. The Sherman went on it, the Priest went on it, the some recovery vehicles went on it, the Canadian Ram, which was basically a Sherman tank with no turret that they use as an armored personnel carrier. They call it the Ram tank. And, I'm sorry. The Canadians had the Ram was their version of the Sherman tank. And then they had one, it might have been called the Buffalo, forget offhand, but they basically pulled the turret off of it and made an armored personnel carrier. And it was actually surprisingly successful at that role. But all these things were on that vertical volute suspension system that the M3 used. So you look at an early Sherman and a Lee or a Grant, basically. In fact, when they made the movie 1941, when Spielberg made it, he couldn't find a working Lee or Grant, but he wanted one. So they found an M7 Priest, which was the self-propelled, I think, 105, which was on that chassis, and they basically removed the top and then built a mock-up around it so that Lee that they're on. And remember, if you have trouble getting the Lee and the Grant confused, which is because there's both basically M3s, one way to remember is that Lee, the Southern general, that the first version is named after, for a long time he was considered, like the all-American general. So think American, think Lee. The British did get some Lees, but they later got the Grants, which were welded, not riveted, and had a much larger turret largely so they could house the radio that they put in the back, but other stuff as well. And but again, I'm already going down that rabbit hole. But getting back to the airplanes, Winkle Brown was talking about Mach. You think Mach number, you think jets, which makes sense. And we'll go into detail on what is Mach and why this is a big deal. But I didn't realize that even during World War II, aircraft speeds were being measured in Mach, and it's really deceptive because you think, well, this airplane could go 350 miles per hour. Okay, at what altitude? And at what power setting? At what fuel burn? How long could it sustain it? Was that a dive speed? But it could go a lot faster if you pushed it down into a dive. And that's where Mach percentage of speed of sound becomes a big thing, because now the airplanes are moving towards compressibility. And you can have an airplane that actually is faster in level flight, okay, but can't dive as fast as the other airplane, because as it reaches compressibility, its wing can't handle the pressure. A lot of reasons why. Uh-oh.
You have a phone call.
Stand by, guys. That is an important call. I'm just going to put the audio on hold.
Answer the freaking phone.
Okay, audio input. Yeah, baby. He's here? Yeah, in about 15 minutes. I'm in the shed. Yeah, absolutely. I plan to. Okay. Thank you, babe. Got to use a little trackpad here. We're going to sign off here in about 10 minutes. I just wanted to make sure all this works. Now, tomorrow night I am still planning to do it from the office like normal. This is an experiment so that maybe later on I can do one remotely, like I say, from Hurricane Hobbies or any other place. But I won't be taking the laptop with me on the road. It's just too much stuff to lug around. But this does open up our future possibilities. There's a chat now. Yes, Herman. This is just a test. So you can chat now if you want. Was my sound on? I turned off the... Oh, you know what? I'll bet the desktop. Oh, hold on, guys. Audio input, desktop audio. No, that's the mic aux. Huh. Okay. Well, oopsie. Now, this video will not be staying up. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to take this video down because this is not an official thing. This was just a test. We got a guy, a contractor coming in. I got to take off because he's going to, we got to do big contractor negotiation thingies. Speed of the, yep. Well, that's great. Well, guys, I'm glad we got 28 people here. That's wonderful. I am gonna write this up as a big success, a raging success. One thing, like I said, I got the door behind me. I might get into some set dressing or something at some point, but then again, maybe not. Of course, I can also move over here where I can put pictures. Everything's reversed. If I want to go this way, I got to go that way. Where I can put pictures up here while I'm talking. So, but then if I put this on a little Lazy Susan, I could just real easily rotate it. Of course, it's really, I can just rotate it like this. It's not that big a deal. And let me just, one other thing I was going to talk about real quick was Bruce over at Mystic Model Ships just built one of these P-40B Tiger Sharks. And I have two of these because I wanted to redo my Pearl Harbor thing. And I had not looked at the new ones, but I don't really have time right now. But I plan to do it in Taylor Welch's marking so I can redo my documentary. It was the first video I ever had. I did one called the P-40 Pearl Harbor Boys, or the Pearl Harbor P-40 Boys. And it was just a few thousand, like 40,000 views away from being a million. It was going to be my first million viewed video, and then got taken down. Now, I did borrow a lot of stuff that you just can't do that. And they didn't give me all a strike, but they also didn't give me notice. They just took it down. So, guys, I'm going to run, and I will see everybody later. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for taking a few minutes to come join in with us. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. East Coast time, 2300 Zulu. and I have to run. So model on. I have to use a little trackpad down here, so it's going to take me a second. Well, actually, here we go. Stop streaming, and see if I can do this like cool.